Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast, episode number 236. Larry here, and it's going to be a solo episode. Anthony is currently relocating, so best wishes, Anthony, that he finally, when he gets to his final destination, settles down. He'll be back in a week. But I figured I'll grace everyone's presence here with, me. Why not? And it's going to be a short episode. These solo shows are usually short, but I have a few things just to kind of discuss, and maybe by, all you guys and gals listening and watching, you can put in your comments, kind of a chat along, if you will. First of all, I just want to react right now to so far a lot of the announcements for E3. Me and Ant will go into, I think, a little bit of a deeper dive next episode because there's still some announcements to be made, some press junkets. As of my recording right now, Nintendo's E3 presentation is tomorrow, day after this recording. And of course, all the rumors and speculation with Nintendo. But right now, I just finished watching the Capcom presentation. I watched the Summer Game Fest presentation. I caught highlights of Microsoft and Bethesda. I even caught some highlights from Ubisoft. And I gotta say, I don't know if it's just me because I'm 41 and I prefer a lot of the old school games. I just don't. None of the games really that have hit right now that have been announced have really kind of impressed me. I'm not saying they're going to be terrible. I'm not saying they don't look good. There's just not a lot out there. Basically, a lot of the announcements, short of a couple, haven't been anything blockbuster. I mean, what Capcom went over today was Resident Evil Village. I'm not going to remember all of them. Esports, with Street Fighter V, Monster Hunter, the IPs. I mean, Street Fighter's cool. I'm not that into it competitively. I just enjoy playing it. Monster Hunter series, I'm not into. Again, I know there's a lot of you out there who are. Don't get me wrong. I'm just talking about me. And the recent, I never really was a fan of Resident Evil games. I've talked about it before, how they play, especially the originals on the PlayStation. They announced new Halo. All right, that's cool. Everyone was expecting that for a while, but there just really hasn't been any game out there that has truly struck me. I was kind of hoping with Capcom, and maybe because of the history, like when they released their Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection is now available on basically all platforms, not just Switch. Same with the Capcom Arcade collection. No, I forgot what they call it. Capcom's Arcade. We'll call it Capcom Arcade. Also available now on all platforms, not just Switch. I don't know. Was I expecting Mega Man 12? Maybe not. But I was kind of expecting, because with this time of retro, I was kind of hoping for a little bit more. Sonic. All right, yes, we got Sonic Colors was announced. Sonic Colors Ultimate, I should say. We're getting Sonic Origins next year, which is basically all 4 Sonics on Genesis. 5, actually. Sonic 1 through 3, Sonic and Knuckles, and Sonic CD, which I'll have more to talk about here in a little bit. But again, Diablo 2, they announced, Diablo 2 Resurrection, which was already announced at BlizzCon. It's on pre-order now. If you pre-order it, you can get some downloadable content for Diablo 3. And of course, Diablo 4 is right around the corner. I definitely want Diablo 2. I want to pick up Diablo 2 Resurrection. I was kind of hoping to get it for the Xbox Series X to take advantage of the 4K, to take advantage of the 120 frames per second. But I have Diablo 3 on the Switch, so I might have to settle for that, depending on what's happening with the Switch Pro. Again, another story, possibly for next week, depending on what Nintendo announces. So for me right now, E3 is admittedly has been a little not lackluster, just nothing that's really got me going, wow, this is going to be amazing. Intellivision, actually, of all the companies, I know a lot of people out there are probably like, of course, Larry's going to go with this because he's already pre-ordered it. The Intellivision Amico. They had a nine or so minute presentation about their system that's coming out this October 10th, 2021. But they really kind of, actually, I have a tweet that I want to mention because someone tweeted about this, and their comment just really hit home with the Amico. Sega Blocks at Blocks Sega. He wrote, and I quote, "The Intellivision Amico may not be mind-blowing, but it's still pretty freaking cool." And that's really it. That's what the Amico is. You know, they came out and said they're not looking to go head-to-head with Xbox, with PlayStation, with Nintendo. They love Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo. They're just there as like an alternate, as a part. Actually, they literally said you can, well, they didn't literally say, but they came off basically saying, look, with the Amico, it's kind of a party system. You put it to the side, you have some friends come over, casual gamers, not even gamers. You break out the Amico, you play some party games, you call it a day, you put it away. I kind of like that idea. Also, a lot of the games are going to be coming out for Amico. A lot of the modern takes on original Intellivision and Atari games. A brand new from the exact same group who made the original, a brand new Earthworm Jim is coming out on the Amico. And I kind of just like the idea of the Amico. It's family friendly, it's tiny, it's just there to have some fun. And that's what it's really all about, there to have some fun. And it is a throwback, you know, for, especially for like a podcast like what me and Anthony do here. The Amico is kind of promoting couch co-op. That's how me and Anthony basically started hanging out. We met in high school. He invited me over to his house because he had Raw. I think he had just gotten Raw for the Super Nintendo. So me and a buddy of mine went over to Anthony's for the first time. He didn't live that far from me in Brooklyn. One bus ride up. And we played Raw. And, you know, from there, we would play, you know, more of the WWE games as the systems went on, playing rhythm games, playing, he wasn't that into GoldenEye. GoldenEye I played more in college. But still, that's how me and Anthony, our friendship started, is with the couch co-op. And Amico is bringing that back. It's going to have some online multiplayer. It's also going to have some physical releases, which I'm curious what that's going to look like. Because there's no, as far as I know, there's no optical drive unless they throw it like on an SD card or something. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be really cool, the Amico. That's really the one of the big things I was excited about. Is Arcade 1-Up. Arcade 1-Up the last couple of years have hit home runs. They announced that, and I could have sworn actually it was already released, but I guess not. The X-Men arcade cabinet pre-orders go on sale or start or open, whatever you want to call it, July 15th. That's for the 4-player, because I think if they try and do a 6-player, it's going to be a little too much right now. But the 4-player X-Men arcade cabinet from Arcade 1-Up is going to be going up for pre-order July 15th of this year. They announced the Class of 81 cabinet of Ms. Pac-Man and Galaga, which I remember, like the artwork was split right down the middle of the machine. And that's Wi-Fi. Mine is not Wi-Fi. If I want to update mine, I got to pull it out from the wall. I got to take the back off. I got to find a PC and borrow it to update it. So anyone who's going to get the Class of 81 edition of Ms. Pac-Man, you're going to look out because Wi-Fi is going to be worth it. And then they announced one, but then they kind of, I don't know if they're sticking with it, but I've seen other places comment on it. So I'm going to mention it. For the 30th anniversary, it looks like they're going to be releasing, finally, The Simpsons arcade to come home to roost. I've heard rumors of like $600. You know, The Simpsons carries some weight with it. You pay for the name. It's going to have the Simpsons arcade game, and I heard Simpsons Bowling from 2000, because there will be a trackball in the cabinet as well. This probably would have definitely been my second cabinet if I had the room. I am not picking it up. I mean, I'm happy. I love my Ms. Pac-Man, but I definitely would have gotten a Simpsons arcade machine. The other thing that's holding me off from the Simpsons arcade machine is I have it downloaded on the PlayStation 3. Many moons ago, the Simpsons arcade game and X-Men arcade game were both digital downloads on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. Basically, the reasons why those two systems are still hooked up to my TV. They also announced from Arcade 1-Up the TMNT Turtles in Time arcade machine. Now, this, I believe, is just a take on just a different cabinet scheme, because the original Turtles game that came out, Arcade 1-Up Turtles machine, was the arcade TMNT, the arcade game, or as some people may know it, TMNT 2, the arcade game from the NES. So that arcade game. And the side panels and the whole artwork is that arcade game. This one, the artwork is for Turtles in Time. So it's going to have the same two games, Turtles in Time and TMNT, the arcade game. So it depends really which one you like more, the arcade game or Turtles in Time, as far as artwork. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not crazy about the Turtles in Time artwork. It looks very weird. The turtles look weird. I don't remember this artwork from this cabinet. Personally, I'd probably go with the other one, the original, the artwork for the arcade game. But great lineups from Arcade 1-Up. So, I mean, The Simpsons, X-Men, Turtles, Ms. Pac-Man, can't go wrong there. And of course, probably some others that will be announced. So E3, it started off kind of cool because I heard about Arcade 1-Up first. But for me, this has not been the greatest E3. And again, I say this without knowing what Nintendo's done yet. And a lot of people are putting a lot into Nintendo. Like, they're hoping Nintendo is going to save E3. Will it? I don't know. I love Nintendo. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see Nintendo whip out, HD remakes of Zelda games, or a new Mario game, or just something really cool. I'm not even expecting hardware. I'm expecting all software. I'm not expecting Switch Pro to be announced. But look, it's been how many E3s? Not all of them are going to be gems. There just hasn't been a lot of like surprises. And if there were, I was just kind of like, okay. As far as modern gaming is concerned, really the only one I'm looking forward to, honestly, is Back 4 Blood, which is the kind of unofficial sequel to Left 4 Dead. And if you've ever played Left 4 Dead or Left 4 Dead 2 on the 360, those two games are phenomenal. Great co-op games. One of the first, actually, co-op games where me and a lot of my friends, because it's 4 players, would get together and play on 360 online. And I remember even one time, I may have mentioned it a couple of times on the podcast, I remember one night, 8 of us, there were 8 of us on, all 8 of us were on the Xbox party chat. And then 4 of us broke into one game and 4 of us broke into another game. So it was 2 separate Left 4 Dead games. We were not against each other. We were not competing. We just had 2 separate games, but the chat had all 8 of us in it, and it was a cluster. It was one of the funnier times I've been able to play games, and probably one of the better times of co-op that I remember online was having that 8 players, 2 games, and no one knowing what was going on, or really, because everyone was talking at the same time, because we're all idiots. So E3 right now, I'll give it a passing grade, maybe a C+. So, but I want to hear your thoughts. I know there's a lot of modern gamers out there. Trust me, the Call of Duty announcements, Pirates of the Caribbean going into Sea of, what the hell is that game called? Some crossover game, I forgot what it was. So, Halo, Outer World 2 was announced, Overwatch 2. Let me hear your comments if you think E3 was a success, if you think it was a little bit of a bust. And this is, again, all before we see Nintendo, what they have to offer. Sony at some point will probably say something. They were not officially part of E3. But definitely comment on Facebook, comment on YouTube, comment on Instagram. Let me know. Let me and Anthony know what you guys and gals feel and thoughts on E3 2021. With that, just something else to mention is, and we've talked about it before, and I think me and Anthony have been very upfront about saying how me and him are Nintendo enthusiasts. You know, we grew up more with Nintendo. We I think I can talk for Anthony. We sided with Nintendo during the wars, during the console wars. Even though we both had Genesis, we both had Dreamcast. Neither one of us had a Saturn when it first came out. But recently, I was able to finally get my hands on a Analogue Mega SG. And the Analogue is the, as I call it, the Ferrari of the clone systems, because it's basically a Genesis and high-end FPGA. We talked about that a few weeks ago. Jack was on here talking about it. And I've fallen in love with the Analogue products, the NT Mini, the Super NT, you know, Nintendo and Super Nintendo respectively. And now that I got the Mega SG, I'm finally breaking out some of the Genesis games I've been collecting. And it hooks up, the Mega SG will hook up directly to a Sega CD, both version 1 and version 2. It's the weirdest looking thing. I gotta take a picture of it because the Mega SG is tiny. It's, you know, maybe just a little bit bigger than a Genesis 3, which did not hook up to Sega CD. To the point where it's so tiny that Analogue had to put in a spacer, almost like a mouse pad, a spacer so it would fit properly and dock with the Sega CD. I forgot how good the Genesis is. I forgot the quality of games on the Sega Genesis and the Sega CD, because I that's all I've been playing all week since I've gotten it and since I was able to hook it up. I mean, some of the games I've been playing, and yes, I have the Genesis Mini, some games also on collections, but you know, I got a couple homebrews like Fix It Felix I have on the Genesis, and that worked like a charm, and it's just a fun arcade style game. On the Sega CD, breaking out Sonic CD, breaking out Mickey Mania, Hook. I haven't broken out Sewer Shark yet. I'm waiting. That one brings back memories. Soul Feces, as I call it, kind of a shoot 'em up, and it's just the joy that it's bringing back, and it works. The Sega CD, thank God, works, and it works really, really good. Short of, and it's the same issue with the Dreamcast that I had, the internal battery died. So this is something I learned. I didn't even know originally when I had a Sega CD that this happened. So there's internal RAM and a little bit of internal memory in the Sega CD, so you can save games. Genesis did put out a RAM card that you were able to put into the Sega, into the Genesis, and it would work with the Sega CD. And the RAM card would, boost the RAM, so some games you needed it, and also gives you more memory to store games. You are able, though, to format or initialize the RAM in the Sega CD. And so far, the two games that I have to do this each time because it's not, the battery's not charging, and I might leave it alone. And this is going to be a question I'm going to throw out to you, to the listeners. So, and I know it's not a major issue because like when I put Sonic CD in, it's not like just a general warning. It's like Robotnik shows up and says, initialize the RAM. Also is doing it with Shining Force CD, where it says, please initialize the RAM. Okay, takes a few seconds, not a big deal. Once the RAM is initialized, I'm off to the races. But when I turn the system off and then turn it back on, it's not keeping the RAM. So Castlemania actually is putting out their own Sega CD RAM card. I heard some EverDrives will also do it, boosted as a RAM card and stuff like that. Now, my Dreamcast, with its dead battery, will not keep the time. Like every time I turn the Dreamcast on and it's plugged in all the time, I have to reset the date and time. No big deal. Brought it back to Game On. They're getting it all worked out. Good to go. I'll actually probably pick it up this weekend. But with the Sega CD, and it's not that difficult. I can unplug it. I can pop the Genesis off and bring it in. But I'm thinking to myself, instead of worrying about that, let me just get the RAM cart. And I think as long as I have the RAM cart in the Genesis, or the Mega SG in this case, that should be enough that the Sega CD will bypass me having to worry about initializing the RAM. And then it'll just work off the cart RAM and the cart memory so I can save Sonic CD games. And I'm pretty sure the Shining Force CD that was saved is not saved on there anymore. I'm assuming that's probably deleted because of the battery, which is fine. I only did the first battle. So I'll see. But I'm throwing it out there. Do you, with a dead battery in the Sega CD, do you think just the RAM cart will solve the problem? And if not, I'll bring it in. I'll get the battery replaced. No big deal. Just, it's like an hour for me to get out to Game On. Well, half hour if I go to Smithtown, an hour if I go to Miller Place. But it's still out of my way to just go. Like, contrary to popular belief, I do like to build up some time, and then when I'm ready to go and got maybe a little bit of side money to spend, then I go. Even though I love hanging out with Jay and Tristan and everyone there at the stores, I can't just pick up and go because it is a little bit of a hike for me. But hopefully this RAM cart will work. Again, let me know in the comments, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, if you think that's something that is viable. But now that I have that up and running again, like I said, I love it. I got games to play besides not mine, but an original copy of Bloodlines. Booger Man, this is a great underrated game, I think. Battletoads Double Dragon, another great underrated game in my opinion. PGA Tour Golf 3, which for some reason me, Anthony, and all of our friends got hugely involved with. Like all of a sudden we're playing a golf game. And it was odd too, because we were very competitive. So that was always a weird one that snuck in. But still, now that I'm getting these systems, up next is the TurboGrafx, and I'm going to talk about that next week because I did get some new to me TurboGrafx games in the mail, and I'm looking out for some. And a lot of you guys and gals out there give me great recommendations for games, of course within budget. I know there's a lot of expensive games out there, but I'm looking for some good games within budget. But I'll talk about that next week with Anthony. In the meantime, I'm going to wrap it up. Like I said, I wanted to drop something in the meantime so we don't go without an episode. I did have a guest, but unfortunately some conflicting schedules, was unable to do it this week. But nevertheless, folks, make sure you listen to us and subscribe to our podcast everywhere you listen to podcasts. Podbean, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, you name it, we should be on there. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that thumbs up. It's the thumbs up. It's not the views. It's the thumbs up. That's the algorithm that works. So please hit that thumbs up. Even if you're just going to watch 30 seconds, hit the thumbs up on our YouTube channel. And of course, Instagram, please follow and subscribe. And you can basically find us everywhere. Just search the Retro Gamers or the Retro Gamers podcast. You know the logo. You know this face. You're better off with Anthony's face. And next week, Anthony will be back. We'll talk a little bit more about E3, probably more on the Nintendo stuff, since that wasn't announced just yet. And we'll see what else might arrive. Oh, I hope my mother's not watching. As my collection continues to grow, now moving on to the TurboGrafx, and quite possibly maybe bringing back the Nintendo 64. We'll see. Folks, it's Larry. You can follow me everywhere, pretty much on all social medias at More365. MOHR365, and I'm going to do a cheap plug for my new podcast, The Ring Crew. A whole gaggle of us talk about what we love in professional wrestling. So go check out The Ring Crew. And I will catch you everywhere next week on the Retro Gamers Podcast.